time for Growing Hope, the show determined to grow up hearts open to pursue the extraordinary. Because you are extraordinary! And now, it's your host, Kathryn Lang.
Hello there, and welcome to Growing Hope. I am Kathryn Lang, your voice of encouragement, face of encouragement, and general all-around encourager extraordinaire, because we all need encouragement in this journey. We all need someone that is going to feed us, infuse in us the courage to be our unique design, to walk out our individual unique path one step at a time, one little bit at a time, because everything around us, the world, is structured in such a way it is feeding us negatives. And if we ever nibble into those negatives, the negatives begin to nibble into us. And so we are invested in getting rid of these negatives by finding the hope, by growing the hope, by seeding hope for this journey. And over the next few days, and starting yesterday, we are invested in daring to keep on dreaming, to keep on daring, to keep on living our best lives by daring to do, be, face, walk, share, grow, whatever dare you need to take to get there. We are daring it. So we are daring to believe that we can today. We are going to dare to believe that we can, because when you dare to believe that you can, then you will. I believe it was Henry Ford that said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Because the mindset that we have has a lot to do with the path that we walk. So the more we feed our ability to believe that we can, the bolder we become in walking out that belief. We have to get invested, though, in believing it. We have to truly believe it. So you have to dare to believe that you can, because you can. Once you embrace that belief that you can, there is nothing that can stop you as long as you take that belief and put it to action. So you dare to believe by defining your weaknesses, determining your strengths, flipping the script, listening and learning, and comparing correctly. A belief that you can grows up from the place of knowing your unique design and understanding how you are formulated to walk out that design. That's why it's so important to take time to really look at who you are and where you're going in order to truly believe that you can get there. Because if you don't believe it, you won't. So the first thing we need to do is to define our weaknesses. Where do we struggle most? And here's the reason we're going to take time to define our weaknesses. Because there's somebody around you right now, or there's somebody out there in the off to the wings of your main stage that has that weakness as a strength. So when we can define our weaknesses, we can look for people around us who have that strength, and then we can collaborate with those people and lean into their strengths for our weaknesses, and they can lean into our strengths for their weaknesses. Instead of spending all of our time and energy and resources trying to improve our weaknesses, we lean into we find the strengths in others that are our weaknesses. But you can't find those strengths if you haven't defined your weaknesses. I can organize like a crazy person. It's just not one of my strengths because I don't have a whole lot of interest in it, other than when I can't find what I want. And then I will organize like crazy, and then I won't be able to find anything for the next 6 months. So I would do well to connect with somebody who is a natural organizer. My oldest son, great organizer. So I would lean into him for those organization abilities. But he's gone. I mean, he's gone to college. And as much as I, encourage him to come home and organize for me. He's just not jumping. He's not, chomping at the bit to do that for me. So if that's one of your strengths, please let me know. At the same time, I am writing content, creating content is a no-brainer for me. I can do it with my eyes closed. I've done it with my eyes closed. I mean, it's hard to read when I do that, but it's happened. But that's one of my strengths. So when I can connect with somebody that has a weakness there, maybe I can find somebody that has a strength in organization, and my strength in content can work together, and we can be the Wonder Twins. But define your weaknesses. Until you know where you struggle, you won't know how to address those struggle points. But once you know where you struggle, it's okay. You have to accept the truth that this is a struggle point for you. And then you have to define why it's a struggle point for you. And then you have to determine what you're going to do about those struggle points. Weaknesses are not points that we have to strengthen or overcome. They are just points in our lives that we have to be aware of so that we can pivot around or over or through those particular parts of the journey. Or like I said, you team up with somebody that's their superpower, and that overcomes that weakness for you in this leg of the journey. But first, define your weakness. Once you've defined your weaknesses, we want to determine our strengths. What are the things that you do naturally that other people struggle? We talked some about this, about daring to be you. You have superpowers. You didn't even know they were superpowers because they're so natural to you, but you have superpowers, and your superpowers are your strengths. The more you find the strengths of your journey, the more you understand the strengths of your design, the more you can begin to understand how those weave together into to create your best life, to walk out your unique design, because your strengths are your unique design, and they are going to fuel your ability to walk it out. What is it that other people ask you to do? What is it that you find so simple and other people struggle with? What is it that you could do all day, every day, and never get tired of doing? I was talking to someone not too long ago, and I was talking about one of their superpowers. And he told me that he didn't want to do that for a living. He didn't want to lean into that for his journey because he didn't want to get tired of doing it. And typically, society equates joy and work don't go together. You can't have joy in your workplace, and you can't work where you have joy because you'll burn out. But the truth is, the more you enjoy your journey, the less you burn out. So if you can find a way to weave your superpowers into your journey, your workplace journey, then you're less likely to burn out in your journey. But if you don't know your superpowers, how are you supposed to define them? I was talking to somebody the other day, and she was telling me that she had no clue what she was good at. Now, I have watched her plan field trips for our homeschooling group. I have watched her put together homeschooling events. I have watched her do things in ways that, just wrangling children in general is a superpower, in my opinion. Anybody that can wrangle homeschool kids, because they're all ages and they're all different interests and they're all different attention levels, and yet she could wrangle them. So these were all superpowers, but because she did them all the time and she did them in her own home, she didn't see them as superpowers. If you're not sure what your strengths are, ask the people closest to you, and they will tell you where you shine. The third thing is that, one, we're going to define our weaknesses. Two, we're going to determine our strengths. Now, the third thing is that we're going to flip the script. So we're going to take all of those weaknesses and we're just going to rewrite the script. Take your weaknesses, take your strengths, and look at them. The places where you are weak are really not the places that you're going to be walking out your journey. I say that one of my weaknesses is organization, but it really depends on what you mean by organization. I went to church one morning and my notebook, my church notebook is very well organized. It has a place for prayers. It has a place for Sunday school. It has a place for the sermon. It has, there are sections and it's all marked out. And I have my pencils and my highlighters and everything's all there together. And the lady behind me was like, wow, you're so organized. And I thought my husband was going to pass out cold because that is not a word he uses to describe me. Because in my, where I'm focused, my learning, that part of me is very organized. However, my office, not so much. So it depends on how you define that, whether or not it's truly a weakness, which is why I have to know my weaknesses so I can see how these weaknesses work in my journey, where they truly are a hindrance and where I am overcoming them in my own unique way. When we flip the script, we're going to write out our can'ts, the things that we can't do, the things that we don't think we're able to do, the struggle points, the sticking points. What is it that's holding us back right now? We're going to write those out. Then take your strengths and apply your strengths to your can'ts. So if you say, I can't get this done because I can't find the paper that I was supposed to be reading off of, you would flip the script by saying, I can get this done because I have this superpower. I have the ability to wing it when I'm on the screen. So that is a superpower. Not everybody doesn't have that superpower. When you flip the script, you take your weaknesses and you take your can'ts and you take your struggles and you're going to overlay your strengths on those and make them can statements. The fourth thing that we're going to do is we're going to listen and learn. Depending on your personality and whether or not learning is a strength and criticism is something you accept, this can be a weakness. But this is one of those weaknesses where we have to continue to strengthen ourselves. We have to be willing to listen and learn if we're going to get to where we need to go. If you're not learning, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So there is no way to get to where you want to go if you're in the process of dying. You have to continue growing. So in order to continue growing, you have to be willing to listen to what other people that you trust. You have to find people that you trust. And when the people that you trust criticize or my son called them grows and thorns. They share your thorns, then you have to be willing to listen and to receive that so that you can better yourself for the next step. Writers, it's essential that writers take criticism and that they take it with a grain of salt. So just because someone says something doesn't make it your truth, but you can always learn something from what people say. Sometimes you learn something about them. Sometimes you learn something about you. Sometimes you learn, you have more clarity in your weaknesses and your strengths because of what they shared. But if you don't slow down and listen to what other people are saying about you, for you, towards you, then you will never be able to take that information in and use it to better yourself for the next step. And ultimately, daring to be you is about becoming the best you that you can be. Daring to believe you can is taking these elements of your uniqueness and burying them so deep in your knower and rooting them so deep in your heart that nothing and nobody can talk you out of those truths. Because they are you. They're fundamentally you. And that is what you're supposed to be walking out. The fundamental, authentic you that you were designed to be. So when you listen to other people and you receive what they say, and then you filter it through your unique design, you then have the elements you need to nurture your unique design and grow it to a better you. And finally, the last thing that you want to do is to compare correctly. So here's how you compare correctly. Never, ever, 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 ever compare yourself to somebody else. You are always ahead of someone and you're always behind someone. When you compare yourself to someone that's ahead of you, then you find your place of lacking. Too often we compare ourselves, and I mentioned this yesterday, we compare our weaknesses to other people's strengths, and we condemn ourselves for it. Or just the opposite, you compare yourself to somebody who's behind you in the journey and you slack off. Hey, look how awesome I am. Why do I need to do anything else? So do not compare yourself to anyone else, ever. You are not them. They are not you. Do compare yourself to the you that was yesterday. And measure whether or not you're making improvements. Now, you don't have to improve by leaps and bounds. Every little bit counts on this journey to become all that you're designed to be. But you and only you can prevent forest fires. No, you and only you can live your best life. You and only you can walk out your design. You and only you can get better. But you have to be willing to compare who you were to who you are, and then acknowledge that you are in the process of becoming who you're supposed to be. And as long as who you were and who you are, there is an improvement, then you can continue to invest so that who you are designed to be is also an improvement from who you were. Compare correctly. See, we are each and every one designed on purpose and for a purpose. And whatever your unique design is, whatever your purpose is, you can live it out as long as you believe you can. And you will come to the place where you believe you can, the more you invest in who you are and who you're supposed to be. That uniqueness, your superpowers, your strengths, your boldness, your courage, your gifts, your talents, your abilities. When you feed into all of this and you focus in on all of this, then you launch yourself from the believe point to the achieve point. So in order to dare to believe you can, then you have to define your weaknesses so that you know them, determine your strengths so that you can embrace them, flip the script on your weaknesses by overlapping and overlaying your strengths on top of them. You listen and learn to the people around you that love you and are encouraging you so that you can see how to continue to improve. And then you compare yourself only to the person that you were so that you can see that you're making those improvements. And you never, ever compare yourself to others. I believe that you can. Do you? Thank you so much for joining me for today's Growing Hope. I am Kathryn Lang. I am here to encourage you and to dare you to believe in your unique design. But if you're struggling in any way, please reach out to me. You can find me over at kathrynlang.com. There's a button there to schedule your call. And don't forget, please like, share, and subscribe to whatever channel you're listening to or watching on. And let's continue to invest in growing hope. Get out there, believe you can, and start doing it. I know that you can. I can't wait to see how you do it. Until next time, remember, be blessed and be a blessing in whatever it is that you're doing.
Thank you for joining us for Growing Hope with Kathryn Lang, where we are sharing hope, encouragement, and inspiration to do more. Visit www.kathrynlang.com to invite Kathryn to be part of your event or to share your own stories of possibility living. Until next time, remember that a seed of hope planted and nurtured will grow up into a world of possibilities.